Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to this Social Media Strategy Updates webinar. My name is Zoe Wyatt. For those of you that haven't worked with me before, I'm the Social Media Marketing Specialist for the Creative Collective and the Training Collective. Now, the Creative Collective was started in 2007 by one of our directors, Yvette Adams. I'm sure many of you have trained or heard Yvette speak on previous webinars. The Creative Collective actually came to me. I run an independent agency called Social Media Shortcut, and you'll see Social Media Shortcut used as examples throughout today's training. Really, I was helping small to medium businesses with their social media implementation. And initially I started training on Twitter with the organisation. Over the last 5 years, the training side of things has dramatically increased. And at the beginning of last year, we had our sister organisation, the Training Collective, kind of pop off to the side of the Creative Collective. So you'll notice down the bottom here, we have references and Twitter handles to both the Training Collective and the Creative Collect. So if you're getting great insights today and you are a Twitter user, I encourage you to be tweeting either at Training Collect, COLLECT, or at Creative Collect, and giving feedback on the webinar. Any questions, please do pop them straight into the chat panel, the question panel here. I will be also asking throughout the day for you to raise your hand. So make sure you have found that feature on your keyboard there so you can raise your hands, and I'll be asking questions throughout the presentation. Please feel free to ask your questions whenever it suits you. I will be keeping an eye on that, and we have a moderator helping me with questions as well. If it is not answered, your questions are not answered during the presentation, we will have time at the end where I'll be going back and making sure we cover all of those questions for you. A little bit of background on me first and foremost. As I said, my name is Zoe Wyatt and I'm Social Media Marketing Specialist for the Training Collective, the Creative Collective, and I own and operate multiple businesses myself, all of which are involved in marketing online, whether that be online retail commerce or social media marketing, training and management. And I think the biggest thing for all of the creative specialists at the Training Collective is that we all run our own businesses. So you will see Social Media Shortcut used today, and I really use it as a training resource because the majority of my training now is done through the Training Collective. My background's a little bit interesting for most in that I'm a marine biologist by training. You heard that right. I had 10 years between state and federal government departments before I went into my own business in environmental consulting in 2003. Long story short, I'm still working in a very technical industry, and what I'm doing is taking technical data, turning it into plain English, and helping business owners and marketing professionals how to implement that information. So suffice to say, what I'm training you on today is exactly what I'm using in my own businesses. It's what's working right now. And in fact, in only a few weeks' time, I'm off to Europe and America again to get the latest of the latest training. And I do that 3 to 4 times a year. So you can know that with confidence that what I'm treating you on is the latest and greatest. Having said that, I don't expect you all to become social media marketing specialists in a 1-hour webinar. So it's really important that you focus in today on the parts that are most relevant for you and your business or your objectives with social media to get the maximum results. You know, the old adage of how do you eat an elephant? It's one bite at a time. So I want you to take the information today. There are lots of resources that you'll be able to come back to, but make sure you're not trying to do everything at once. You try to do everything in general, you'll achieve nothing in particular. When it comes to social media, just raise your hands for me if you have already developed a social media strategy, either for your business or organisation, or for the business you're developing, the company you're working in. You have a look at those. Okay, there's only a few of you with social media strategies, which is fantastic because, yes, I've got a few of you saying yes, some of you waiting for today before you did that. Today is not going to be a complete rundown on making a social media strategy. I am going to give you resources that would allow you to do that and some ongoing training if that's beneficial to you. But I do want to make the training relevant for people at as many levels of learning as possible. Okay, so for some of you, I may be going over ground that you've already covered in terms of social media strategy. Work through the process with me, because there are lots of new resources and things you need to be considering that have happened literally in the last few weeks. In a couple of things I'm going to give you actually have happened in the last couple of days, even the last couple of hours for one thing I'm sharing. Okay, for those of you that are brand new or are looking to get really strategic about your social media, you're in the right place too. I'll give you some resources and references, but as I said, stick to the part that's most relevant for you right now. In terms of social media generally, the Wikipedia explanation is on the screen, but in reality, social media is just a communication tool, but it's a communication tool that is based on social or a two-way sharing of information. You think in the past when we developed marketing systems or programs or campaigns, it was all about taking our message, what we were trying to sell or what we were trying to bring across to our audience, and pushing that out to the marketplace. We then started pull advertising campaigns where we were pulling people in, and we're asking them to respond and filling in surveys and getting their feedback. Now we've got this massive transit where communication and information about our products, our services, and how we can assist people coming in and going out. Quite often our marketplace and clients are creating our marketing messages, some of which we are aware of and can help to control, and some of which they're discussing between their family and friends on social media platforms. I think long gone are the days where we decide that are we going to do social media, because really now social media has become such an important communication tool for so many people. If as a business or an organization we're not in that social media space, we are missing a massive potential to communicate with people. So I'm going to use some resources today from the Census Social Media Report. It only came out last month, so it's the latest figures on how Australian people and businesses are using social media. Now, bear in mind there was a couple of thousand organisations and individuals polled, so it's not like it's the entire country, but it does give a very good broadcast, I guess, aerial view of what's happening with social media in this country. So there is a link there for you to go and download the report, and also to the executive summary at census.com/social media report. I also have that report coming up on our Facebook page, and I'll give you some more resources later on as well. But know that all of the stats and facts are in the report. I think it's really vital if you're trying to get strategic about social media, you delve into that report, because it's the most conclusive or comprehensive look at Australian-specific social media that I've seen, at least in the last 6 months. Okay? The Census Social Media Report this year showed this, and they said, again, we're showing increased levels of engagement with social media as a critical way in which the public, business and government are communicating. In fact, almost 50% of consumers now access social media every day. Really get that. 50% of consumers now access social media every day, and up to 79% are accessing it every day for the 18 to 29-year-old age group. Yet only 31% of SME businesses actively operate a social media engagement strategy. So half of the community is using this tool daily, and yet less than a third of our SME businesses actually have a strategy in place to be engaging those people and communicating on it. And I liken it really, social media now, as to where we were with email perhaps 10, 15 years ago, in that people were saying, do we need this tool? I pick up the phone. I have word of mouth marketing. Now you could not imagine running a business without an email address. For the vast majority of you, if you're looking to actually advertise or market your business, you will have an online or internet marketing strategy, and social really needs to become a very large part of that now. But in a world where every consumer is a reporter, everyone has these mobile phones. I love this quote from Scott Stratton of Unmarketing. In a world where every consumer is a reporter, every business owner and employee should be a marketer. But with that opportunity comes some risk. And the reason for that is we just jump into social media and think we're doing Facebook. We'll pop up a Facebook page and off we go, with no thought to how or why or what will we do if things go wrong, how do we protect our brand reputation, and how do we know if we're actually achieving anything. then quite frankly, you not only may be wasting a lot of time and energy and resources, but you could actually be doing your business more harm than good. So it's really important we step back a bit today and get strategic about what we're doing. Now, as I said, today's call is not to develop an entire social media strategy for you, but I will give you a resource on my training site. It's a social media for business checklist, and it goes through the seven steps we're covering today in terms of developing your social media strategy. Now, you can either get this straight from socialmediashortcut.com, or I've popped the link up to it on facebook.com/social media shortcut, which is my social media shortcut Facebook page. And I do use it for a lot of training, and I share a lot of resources on maximizing social media for your business there. Okay, so in a nutshell, what we're really going to be looking at is, number one, we're going to go through the 7 steps, but I'm going to show you what's the most critical parts of these right now and what may have changed a bit in recent times. So we're going to look at identifying your objective with social media. What are you actually trying to achieve? We're then going to look at your brand and your voice on those. And the brand and the voice is really important when we look at these here in terms of who are you trying to talk to and how do you want them to perceive your business. Okay, so objective, target market, brand, voice. Then and only then are we going to look at setting up your social media sites professionally. And again, I'm just going to give you the updates on what may have changed there and some resources to go away and determine the top social media sites for your business. Then we're going to look at creating content, what to post, when to post, how often, some risk management in there, and analysis and improvement. And again, what's changed in those areas that may assist you in doing this better than ever, and thankfully in the shortest amount of time, I think, than ever before. So if I rush through those 7 steps, it's okay, because we're going to use those as a background for today's training. And as I said, the shortcut list is, the checklist is available on the website for you as well. If you think of it this way though, I want you really to be able to answer by the time you develop your strategy, okay, what are our objectives? What do we need to consider? Have we got skills internally? Do we need to get more training? Should we be getting an external agency to do this? You don't know that until you know the time, the money, the resources, what sort of return you can expect. There's lots of questions I think you should really be interrogating your social media usage. A lot of people say to me, oh, well, I jumped on Facebook because it's free advertising. Social media is not free. Okay? And a lot of you may have discovered that most of the really effective methods of marketing on social media in recent times come from paid advertising. But on top of that, there's an inherent cost to your business with you doing social media. You've taken an hour out of your day to sit and learn this information. Then you've got to go and implement it. Then you've got to spend time actually posting. And if you are going to get an external agency to post on your behalf or a staff member, then of course there's resources in terms of dollars and time there as well. So just like you invest money into advertising, newspaper, radio or television campaign or any other type of marketing, it's important that you look at the return on your investment. If we spend this time, if we allocate those people or those funds to doing this, why are we doing it? What are we actually going to get from that social media marketing? And if you're not exactly sure to start with, go through this strategy program and start with the end in mind. Okay? And I always ask the magic wand question. If I could show you today how to achieve that for your business on social media, what's that? What's that one thing that you believe you can leverage social media marketing for in your business? And in doing that, I want you to think about this. It's a great quote by Jay Bayer. Focus on how to be social, not how to do social. So yes, we're going to go on some training on how to do social media, but really I want you to think about how could we socialize our business? How could we make our business more open, if you like, to exactly the right type of market? Are we looking for feedback and testimonials? Are we looking to get to a very difficult, tiny market segment, perhaps, as I was with my environmental consulting business? What is it that really we think social media will achieve for our business, and then focus on how do we go about achieving just that one thing. Now, I want you to list into the question box, those of you that already know that one thing, that one objective. If I could just do that with social media, what's your primary objective with social media? Now, you'll see on the screen that I have given you lots of objectives that you could achieve with social media. It could be running discounts, running competitions, getting feedback, getting testimonials, networking with others. Maybe you just want to get your site found on Google in search engine. You can definitely do that. Maybe you want more leads to your website. Maybe you want more sales. At the end of the day, we all want more money, whether that be more sales, more clients, repeat clients. But what is it that would allow you to do on social media that would produce that one thing? Can anybody tell me? I've got one to establish and build my network and keep in forefront of their minds. That one's really interesting. Getting to the network, but actually being front of mind. Great one, Melinda. Yeah. So you can certainly do that. So if we're looking to establish and build a network, you may well be looking at building a community on social media. So you may be looking at number of likes. But if you're trying to keep in the forefront of their minds, you've got to then think about, okay, what will keep me in the forefront of their minds? What information are they interested in? How often do I have to post? And if I'm at the forefront of their minds, what does that allow me to do? Am I going to be sending them to a website, to my leads? Is it more about just raising my profile? Because I can see a lot of people building lots of likes and talking an awful lot and even getting a lot of engagement where other people are speaking back and giving their opinions. But unless you have a whole marketing funnel set up to actually capture those leads, maybe get them onto a database list, for instance, and then a system to be following those up and getting them closer and closer to the point where they make a sale, i.e. give you money, then the conversation at the top is of little value. You know? Making people aware of the online shop, making people aware. I'm seeing a lot of awareness, brand awareness, and driving traffic to our website. Know, like, trust, engagement, bookings. Yeah. So there's a lot here about trust, likability, raising awareness. And I think that's great. But I also want you to think about, okay, if we get that trust and awareness, how will that then lead to sales? And what I mean by this, a great example of, we want to lead people to our website or make people aware that our website's there. But then when I ask business owners, why should I go to your website? What will I get? And they go, well, information about us or our products or services. And I've really got to start thinking, you know, so what? Educating is an interesting one. If you have a product or service that's not, I guess, apparent what it does or how to use it or why yours is better than others. If you're in a market that's very competitive, you may well be building trust. People get to know, like, and trust you. I would strongly, I'm jumping ahead, but I strongly encourage video for those of you in that market because it does add a dimension to trustability. Okay, so what I want you to do as we go through today's system is to think about that one thing. Now, if you have more than one objective, and I know you all have, great. But what I suggest is you get good at one first before you move on to the second and the third. And I don't recommend that you actually try to do more than 3 things at the one time. Remember the old adage, jack of all trades, master of none? If you try to achieve everything in general, you'll achieve nothing in particular. So if you're trying to build a community and get feedback and get testimonials and send people to your website, and let them know about the online shop, and educate them through our training videos, and protect, I can go out and be a speaker as well, and then I've written a book, so I'd like to get, you know, I'm so overwhelmed by how much information is coming through. I actually don't understand what you're trying to tell me or what you're trying to communicate to me. Now, just like in our regular marketing system, you'll have campaigns and your objectives will change over time. My objectives are very different for the last quarter of the year they are for the first quarter of the following year. That's fine. Do that with social media too, but get really strategic about it. Don't try and achieve it all at once. Okay, now who are you trying to reach? And anyone that's done my training will know that I'm not looking for a target niche here. I'm looking for you to develop a target person or persona. And if you haven't done this for your business, then this may well be the most valuable part of today's training, social media tactics aside, because if you want to be successful in social, you need to understand your ideal target client and their social habits. It makes sense. It's a social network. So before I can give you any advice on when to post and what to post, I need to know who you want to be reading it. You know, when are they likely to be online? And I want you to get to the stage, here's your homework, that you can actually put that person in a chair and have a conversation to them. Give them a name, dress them up. I know some of you, some familiar names in the training here, have gone so far as developing 2 or 3 of these personas for different segments of your business or for different objectives. That's great, but work on one first, okay? And I always say to people, I use this slide because look at the bullseye. You know, when you normally, unless you're a serious darts player, when you play darts, you aim at that bullseye. I want you to think about your bullseye person. If we could just reach this person on social media, who are they? And what you may well find is this person, your ideal target persona, may be a little bit different. You may have 2 or 3 of them, and you may actually need to reach them on different social media sites. For instance, you may have your middle-aged mums that are spending more time on Facebook, and then you may have professional males that you may be looking to connect with in a corporate sense over on LinkedIn or perhaps even on Twitter. It's not until you know that person so well that you can put them on your shoulder that you can effectively market to them. Does that make sense? So I'm going to give you some ideas about how to target this person. But as I said, this is your homework. This one will take you, I won't just say it'll take you hours, it will take you days, it will take you weeks, it will take you months, it will take you years, because it's something that you should keep developing. And in fact, the Training Collective and the Creative Collective team, once a year we come to my higher level training, we sit down and we redo our personas and we expand upon them, looking at who we actually attracted for that year and how our businesses, our products and services have changed. So on an annual basis, we're completely redeveloping our personas and making sure that our marketing is on track to service those people, to focus on those people. Now, if you play darts like me, very badly, I will add, that's how I play darts, then when you aim at the bullseye person, you'll probably meet people or hit people that are outside of that ideal target persona. That's great. I literally have had people in my training from 18 to 83 in the last 12 months. And it was across 73 different industries. So they obviously weren't all my exact target personas, but my marketing was still relevant for them because a lot of what matters to my target persona mattered to those individual trainees, if that makes sense. So it may be gender-based. If it's not male or female, then call them something that could be either like Sam or Peter. And age can be wide-ranging, but what is it about them? How do they think? What do they value? What are their greatest frustrations in life? Do they celebrate occasions? What's their degree of loyalty? And why would they use your product and service over another? So unless you know what your persona, and mine's called Savvy Sally, I know what Savvy Sally goes home to, the sort of clothes she wears, the food she likes, the TV shows she watches. I know what floats her boat, to use my terminology. I know her so well that quite often I'll start putting things up on social media that I think are really great, but then I'll go, Sally wouldn't get it. And if Sally doesn't get it, I'm off target, and I need to really think about, is it appropriate to pop that post up or not? Okay? And if I do pop that post up, I might add that I actually put on the front a little bit different, or you may not be expecting this from me, but here's why I'm sharing this today. Now, in terms of once you've got, okay, the objective we're trying to achieve, the person we're trying to reach, where are they on social media? It is important that you do 2 things. You identify what social media they're using, but then you balance that with your brand's voice, because it's really important you establish your brand on social media. Who are we? What is our brand voice? Are we friendly or open or litigious or legal or upright or trustworthy? What is it and how do we want to be represented? Because, you know, if you were, for instance, to say we want to be seen as quite legal, reliable, established, and it may be something to do with law or finance or accounting, where that's important, for instance, then you may discover that just because your market is over on Snapchat, that doesn't really suit your brand image to be using that network. So you have to do both. You have to think about, okay, how are they using this medium, but how would that look for our brand to be doing it? So when something like Domino's Pizza can jump on Snapchat and offer very quick resources. Now, Snapchat, for those of you that don't know, it's a photo sharing site predominantly for teenagers. I'll delve into these in a minute. But it's seen as being kind of a junky, gimmicky, gamified platform. So I probably wouldn't be expecting to see medical or doctors or lawyers or unless you're specifically going for a much younger demographic and you're looking for that sort of angle. Okay. Now, in terms of where people are, yes, that's important. And you'll see here in the Census Social Media Report in May, it actually showed that Facebook is massively ahead in terms of the network of the people that were interviewed in terms of where they are on Facebook, on social media rather. The majority were on Facebook. But if you're trying to get a business to business or a corporate audience, then you may well be better off on LinkedIn. So just because there's a massive audience on a platform doesn't mean it's the most effective place for you to be marketing your business. And I encourage you to delve into the census report to find out what works or will work for us based on where your audience is, but also how they're using the platforms. Now, the other thing is how often they're using it, and we'll talk a little bit later about when they're using it. Because if someone's jumping on Facebook every single day, as 50% of the people are, or 49%, then it's important that if you're going to be on Facebook, that you're regularly updating your statuses. Because if it's something I've seen yesterday, I'm not interested in it. And if you posted it yesterday, I'm probably not going to get to see it anyway because of the speed at which information moves through the platform and the amount of information that's being shared there. You also need to think about how I'm using the platform. So in terms of, am I using it on a mobile? The same way we looked at, is our website most up to date and is our website mobile compatible? Now we need to start thinking about, is our social media. So we're driving from our social media to our website, but there's no buy button for our product or service, then that can be very frustrating for people. There's no point, I really don't think there's any point advertising a link to your website on Facebook, for instance, if your website is not mobile compatible, because more than 70% of people are now accessing social media through mobile platforms. Okay, so let's get this started. As a quick recap before we delve into the latest updates. Social media, your brand. Decide whether to brand your name or your business and how you want to look on social media. You need to think about your unique selling point, okay, your USP. What is it that makes people buy from you? And really you need to represent that not just in your words in social media, but also in all of your images, right down to what your names are. Decide which niche they are and where your ideal persona is on social media, and be really consistent about your company information and your images. And what I mean by that, define your logo, your headline, your about us, your short description, your story. Really get to know who you are and who you want to be as an organization on social media and how that matters to your selling. Be careful about your images. Great photos matter on social media, but you've got to be careful of copyright. Anything you post on social media, you say, I am the copyright owner or I have permission of the copyright owner. Gone are the days where you could just Google something, pop it up from Google Images into a social media post and hope that nobody noticed. There are not only large fines coming down, but I think as an organisation, it really looks bad if you're all kind of using the same images. A great example of this was I use some stock images, certainly, and I give some resources and references. But I was working in the medical recruitment industry at a large function, and it was interesting me for 7 of the organisations that were represented at the function, they had used the same photos on their website. And in fact, 3 of them had used exactly the same photo on their Facebook cover photo. So they had paid for those images and actually gone and paid for a stock photo, but be thinking about where's the uniqueness in that? Who are we? Could we have modified that photo, maybe added some text, or could we be taking our own, particularly if you're someone looking to engender trust or belief? then that becomes very important. Obviously, they had some legal things they had to be concerned about in medical recruitment in terms of not identifying doctors or staff or hospitals, etc. But there's lots of ways you can be developing your own creative images that you control the copyright of that are a better representation of your brand, okay? That's the first one for me. And I recommend keeping this consistent across all web marketing. Consider too, and here's the update, consider too how those images will look if others socially share, okay? So how those images will look if others socially share. So if you're encouraging people to share your posts with their network, to share them with friends, to reference your blog posts, etc., then put a great image with it, but make sure you brand the image. So whether that's putting your logo in the corner, you can do so with some great apps on mobile phones now, or you can be doing those if you've got departments that are producing your images for you or agencies. Make sure that they're stamping your brand, or at the very least your website, onto those as well. In terms of your brand and knowing your brand, with new social sites coming out all of the time, I recommend you do an audit. I do this every quarter. So once a quarter, I actually go back to a site called Knowem, KNOWEM.com, Knowem.com. And I look at what names are available across social sites. I'm keeping an eye on some of those sites that I maybe am not sure if we want to use as a brand yet. So things like Instagram or Pinterest or developing sites like that, because it may well be worthwhile securing the name and simply put up in the site that that you're currently not active on that medium, but they could get full details over on your website, for instance. So claiming your brand on those social sites, I think, is really important too. I don't recommend you just pop up a Twitter account or pop up a Pinterest page with your name on it and then post a few things and stop. Okay, so it's one or the other. It's either claim the name and make it abundantly clear that we are not active in this space. Here's where you can contact us on social media, or you jump in and start using the site properly. Okay, don't start half doing things because you've tried to do 5, 6, 10 social sites all at once. That makes sense? Okay, so what sites should we be using and how can you get the massive impact right now? Now, based on the statistics, I would expect the majority of you are marketing your business either on Facebook, on LinkedIn, or both. Okay, Facebook is more the business to consumer market. If you're trying to get to consumers, your end users are consumers, individual solo clients, great, it's on Facebook for the vast majority of people. LinkedIn is a business to business space. Now, both of those accounts work in the same way. Okay, so in terms of, you have a personal profile that becomes the administrator of a company page, and you do not need to link the two. Now, on LinkedIn, you are linked by the fact that you work for the organisation, and your name will appear on the company page if you state on your profile that you work for the organisation. With Facebook too, it amazes me how we're now, it's now been around for 11 years and people are still sort of looking at the site and going, I've got no idea what's shown of my personal profile on my business page. So the update here is Facebook is really clamping down on fake profiles and businesses that promote on a profile. Okay, now I can reference my social media training on this, my personal profile, absolutely, and I can and I do. Some of you may even seen a link to this webinar on my personal profile. But I link it back to a business page and say this may assist you. I'm not selling my products there. I'm not pushing my business. I'm not looking like a business. So it's not Zoe Wyatt, the social media trainer. It's Zoe Wyatt. And by the way, I'm also doing this on Wednesday, if any of you are interested. So if you're looking to educate about your product, it's really important that you're doing that over on your company page. So for us, we can develop a banner. There's lots of ways to talk about your company. You can really focus in on just the people that are right in the middle of your bullseye, okay? So the update is to get strategic and really maximize the site function and tools. If Facebook is, and they are, deleting profiles where people don't look like the real person, they look like a business, they've got more than one personal profile. Facebook's just deleting them. So it's time to get your structure right. Personal profile, okay, and then you become the administrator. There's 5 different levels of a company page. Now, if you're concerned about having a personal profile, just a raise of hand. Is anyone either not using now or fearful of using their personal profile to log into Facebook and then go and manage their page? I know several of you are in government departments where they may have set up a slightly different structure for you. There was a structure with old business accounts where you could log in as the business, and they're now all being made to put a personal profile. So there's a couple of you saying yes, that's an issue for you. Okay, and I'm getting some feedback that we need some feedback. It's not only an issue, you're worried about privacy, and some of you are saying my company says we're not allowed to use our personal profiles. So here's where the interesting one comes. If Facebook is saying you must have one personal profile, only one personal profile that's really you, and then you administer a company page, you do not have to link anywhere on Facebook between your personal profile and your company pages. I'm an administrator, I'm a manager or a minister, an editor, I'm an admin at some level on just over 90 pages, and you wouldn't know it except for the Training Collective, the Creative Collective, and Social Media Shortcut, where I identify that. And the way that I do that is back on my profile in terms of where I work and what's in my About section. And in fact, I had some really good comments here on it might be an issue if somebody leaves the company. What do we do if we can't control what's on their personal profiles? And this is actually why you need to set it up the correct way. Because if you have lots of people logging into your account or to a fake account that everybody is using to post on the company page, when someone leaves, what do? Do you change the password? What if they were the only person that knew the password? What if they get in and move the other admins out? Maybe they didn't leave on very nice terms. Whereas if you've set it up correctly, you have a personal profile, everyone uses their own personal profile, you give them guidance on what they can and can't put in their About section. So if you don't want their personal profile associated with your business, give them guidance that says, we do not recommend that you post your employment under the About section. And in fact, I've had a number of jobs with the government where I was not allowed to tell you where I worked, and I was not allowed to post that anywhere, let alone on a public social media site like Facebook. So as an employee, you absolutely can develop guidelines and policies the same way you limit where people can wear uniforms or logos or represent the company, for instance. When that person leaves the organisation, you simply remove their profile as an admin of the page and add the new person in their position as an admin on the page. Simple. Every time an admin posts, if they have logged in this way, they've logged into their personal profile and then go and post on the page as the company, all other admins can see exactly which person posted. Okay, only administrators can see that. Okay, so only people who have admin rights on the page. But our team, we have 6 administrators at different levels on the Facebook page, and we can all see exactly which individual was logged in and posted that when it goes on. Everybody else just sees it was posted by the Training Collective. Okay, makes sense? So I think it's really time that you got wise about what's in your personal profile, how does that link you, okay? And you get smart about developing a social media policy that tells staff, members, employees exactly what is appropriate and what is not appropriate. Because it's now a legal standpoint that you should actually be giving guidance to your staff on their social media use. For instance, do they friend clients, potential clients? What about past clients? Those sorts of things as well. I do recommend too, just as an aside here, over here, if you can see where the 3 little dots are, well, let me bring that up. No, beside where it says view activity on the bottom right-hand corner of the photo there, I do recommend that you hit those 3 little dots and do what is called a view as. So V-I-E-W, as. Okay, view as, and it will show you what is publicly available on your Facebook site, and encourage all your staff members to be doing the same. Now, in terms of if there's something there that people can view that you don't like, simply come back to the About and either remove the information, change the level of visibility, so rather than the public, change that just to friends or lower, and or go into your settings. So this is your account settings, a little down triangle right up in the very top right-hand corner of your screen. Go down into privacy, into settings, into privacy, and one by one walk through your privacy levels and make sure they're appropriate for you. The other thing, for those of you that are well established with Facebook, and I know some of you are and you have your structure right, keep an eye on what's happening with the individual social sites. We now have a call to action button here. Anyone seen that? Just a show of hands. Anyone added a call to action button to their Facebook page? Let me have a look. Only a couple of you? Oh, yeah. Okay. So some of you I know don't even have Facebook pages, but there's very few of you. So there's an action point for today, is go and optimize. If you have a Facebook page, your company, a couple of yeses coming in, great. Then make sure you have a call to action button. Now, this is from ours, facebook.com/The Training Collective. Come over and feel free to ask any of your questions there, and I'll be posting some resources from today there as well. We'd love to get your feedback. So when you come on to your company page, now you will need to be logged into Facebook in a profile that has administration rights, as an admin of the page, and you'll see call to action. If you haven't set one up, when you click on it, it will come up with another page that looks like this. Yours won't say book now, it will say call to action. And I'll actually say add a button to your page that takes people directly to your Apple website. Now you're limited at the moment. There's a few things, book now, visit our site, download our app. There's, for me, I didn't have a download the social media for business checklist. So if you go to facebook.com/social media shortcut, one word, facebook.com/social media shortcut, you'll see a contact us. And the contact us button just takes you over to the website, but at the top of every page on the website is the ability to download the social media for business checklist. So while it wasn't the perfect button for my organisation, at least it gets people over to our website, which is really what I want to do, because I don't have a lot of conversation going on social media shortcut. It's just there as a training resource. Whereas you just saw on the Training Collective, we're very happy for you to book now. And if you're looking for additional training after today, that book now button will link you through to our events page where you can book all of our trainings and get more information. Interesting one. Can you only direct people to a website? Can you direct them to a mobile phone number? You can, in your About section, direct them to a mobile phone button, but unfortunately the call to action at this stage is only to a website. And it does allow you to put a different website in if it's a mobile website, if you want to put a mobile version up, but not just to a number. So yeah, the call to action button is just to a website at this stage. But it could be to an online directory where your mobile phone number is listed, or even if you have a simple website up which just has all of the contact details, then that may be appropriate. Yeah, and I would certainly be linking that in your graphics too, Marty. If the best way to contact you is a mobile phone number, make sure that's written all over your cover photo. You know, if you have nowhere to send them to, leave the call to action button out. It will simply not show when people come to your page. Okay, so it's not like they're going to see you haven't set up a call to action button. It just won't be available for them to use. Okay, but you may well even be able to send them directly to your directory listing or your phone number in the white and yellow pages online. But make sure it's going directly to your phone number, not to just the section on yellow pages or something which may lead them to your competitors, of course. We don't want to be doing that. Make sense? Okay, great. In terms of LinkedIn, as I said before, it's the same in terms of a personal profile, and then you're looking at your company page. But when you come across to something like YouTube, here's a big update for you. YouTube has had some massive changes, and it's the one that I see really going ahead in leaps and bounds. Well, Google generally, but YouTube coming into the end of this year. Google has just made a massive algorithm change in terms of mobile compatible websites being much more highly favoured in Google search results. I'm sure you all heard of Mobilegeddon and getting your site's mobile ready. If you didn't, there's great resources on the creativecollective.com.au/blog. But YouTube itself is going to completely change as a platform. So YouTube, as we know it, will still be there. Some of you may have noticed the ads are getting more and more, greater and greater. So there's ads at the beginning, there's ads over the top of videos now, there's ads in line, so in the middle. I'm not sure that I love those ads, but what is coming is a premium platform where you will be able to, sort of like pay TV, actually pay to use the network free of ads. With that becomes greater opportunity then, because people that are saying, well, I only want the free one, actually have been shown to have a greater tolerance for ads. The same way that people say, I don't want to pay for pay TV, but I'm happy to put up with the ads. For us as marketers, though, the space is just getting bigger and bigger. The opportunity to advertise is going to be greater and greater. It's important we understand the space and really provide value. So it comes down to two things: knowing your target market and really making sure your videos match their expectations. In terms of, if they're a busy business professional, for instance, and you're trying to get information and educate them and make yourself front of mind, then you need to be providing quality short snippets of information. And while we do put up hour-long webinars like this one on the site, we're also mindful of putting 30, 60-second shortcuts and quick tips and things to make you more efficient in your business as well. So you've always been able to link through to your other social sites. Google now is looking more and more for video content, particularly video content that's on one of their sites, and also upgrading in terms of the premium sponsorships, members, etc. There's a great YouTube celebrating 10 years from A to Z. And in terms of Google, great question then. What is this? Google now? We're doing YouTube, Google. They're all the same thing. So Google actually owns YouTube. YouTube is a Google property. And what YouTube have done, and I'm going to go into Google Plus for that region as well, is basically if you now sign in with a Google account, you're on all of your Google apps. So what that means for us, back in 2012 when Google rolled out business pages and all these extra sort of social media sites, a lot of us had kind of ignored Google Plus. It was either confusing, our market wasn't there, we didn't see the need for it, our community was on Facebook or LinkedIn. But what's now happened with Google Plus is they've integrated all of these Google services. So if getting found in a Google search matters to you, then Google properties have to matter to you. Now, it could be a part of your strategy where you simply claim the name, brand the sites really well, put up one video on your YouTube channel that explains your business and services, and embed that back into your other marketing. Put that on your website, share that through your normal social media. So I'm not saying go to YouTube and create a massive audience or subscribers or create advertising if that's not strategically right for you. But know that if you don't do that, you're at a disadvantage at the very least. The same thing in terms of Google Plus. So this is my personal profile. I've optimized it, so I'm there. I don't use it very much, but it does get a lot of views. The company page then, I claimed the space. Again, this is my training organization, Social Media Shortcut. And although it has very few followers, I mean, look at the number of views that this is receiving. So from 114 followers, it's over 13,000 views and growing daily. So that's because it's getting found in Google search. Have sort of light bulbs or ding-dings gone off for anybody? Now, what I don't do is go and post on here every day. I have a tool, which I'm going to share with you in a minute, that to help me monitor what's going on these sites and respond if necessary. But really, these are just set up to pacify Google and so that my information is found in the Google search engine. And yes, Kerry, this is being recorded and the team will send it out to you as well. Now, the big update from here is Google My Business. So when you now go into your Google Plus account, where you may have gone into a Google page, now I don't want to do your heads in too much, okay, it's not just a Google training. All I want you to know is that you should Google, literally go and Google My Business. Read the information that Google provides, and if you have questions on this, either come and join one of our trainings or give us some feedback on the Training Collective Facebook page, so facebook.com/The Training Collective, because we are a Google authorized partner at the Creative Collective team is. and we get free trainings. We're often doing webcasts and spreecasts and all sorts of Google Hangouts. We're providing additional information. The training coming out from Google is actually pretty good, okay? But to have one of us sit down and walk you through that, or come into a group setting and actually focus on your Google, may be beneficial as well. This is particularly important for location-based individuals. Now, I say location-based. If your website is a primary way for getting leads, then that's a location as well. It's just an online location. But if you're in a shopfront, restaurant, hairdressers, products, services, tourism industry, those sorts of things, then it is vital you get your Google worked out, because this Google Plus or Google My Business now encompasses Google Plus, your Google Plus place, which is your place on the map. That morphed into your Google Plus place local page. It's now all under Google My Business. All of the apps are together. So your YouTube, your Google Place, your Google Maps, your Google Plus page, and potentially your local place page on that. Okay, so without too much, have a look at Google My Business. It's actually the product is called Google My Business, and that will walk you through some of the training. I'm also seeing Instagram is becoming a much greater influence. So maybe if you've looked at the visual ones before, perhaps you're at the stage where you've got your Facebook or your LinkedIn set up pretty well and you're now thinking, now what? I would be saying, okay, are we going Instagram to increase our Facebook exposure, or are we more looking at YouTube and Pinterest to increase our Google exposure? That makes sense? The ability to be found. What's really interesting for me on Instagram is not only is the use increasing, but Facebook bought Instagram. Okay, so we're really just in a Facebook Google war here. And all Facebook really have done is two things. One, they made it incredibly easy to share your images from Instagram back onto Facebook. And they've even made it easier for us to do that as a business. And just now we can choose whether or not we share onto our personal profile or onto our business page. They've also recently allowed you to choose to run your advertising from Facebook over on Instagram. Okay, and as of today, there's information out, but that Instagram is really getting serious about ads on the Instagram site. There will be more buttons, there will be more targeting, there will be more options. They're talking about the option to be able to basically install apps. You can see here now, install apps, sign up for a product or service, learn more, actually go in and buy programs. They are all sponsored services. In other words, they're paid advertising. But it's going to become easier and easier. Whereas Instagram was purely an image sharing site. Initially, it was very difficult. You couldn't even get a live link or anything like that. There are now some paid versions. That is very definitely Facebook's influence coming in there. So what I would say to you is, don't let this overwhelm you. If you're just getting started with your strategy, think about, okay, do we need a visual platform? Then which one of these is going to be the most effective for us? But it may be that Instagram, Pinterest, even YouTube are platform number 2, 3, 4 or more in terms of your social media strategy. It's important to get found on Google, which I'm thinking for most of you it will be, then you really do need to think about the very least having a YouTube channel that links to your Google My Business page that brands your company well and is full of all the vital information about your products and services and how people can reach you, including a link to your website. And now if that's overwhelmed you, as I said, I can't do a complete training on every social media site here today, and I do want to leave some time for questions. So the important thing here is on Pinterest, make sure that if you go into my Pinterest account, pinterest.com/Zoe Wyatt, and you'll find that all of the stats and facts I've shared here today are on my board. Now, Pinterest is a photo sharing site. You do not need to be a member to use it. You need to be a member to interact with it. So you can go to pinterest.com/Zoe Wyatt, find my Australian social media statistics board, click on the link, and it opens up a photo. Click on the photo again, and it takes you to wherever I got that information from. So the first thing you can use this for is to go to Pinterest, click on the social media statistics page, and it will bring up the census social media report. Click on it, it will take you across to Census where I got that from. There is a guide and assistance on every single one of the social media sites that I train on this site, and there are also lots of boards that I share with the creative and training collectives where we share our training resources, our latest updates, and what's happening on the horizon as well. Even Pinterest themselves are going to have buyable pins. And what I find is people get to this stage and their head starts to hurt. So we've got all of these other sites, and then we've got, oh, what about if somebody says something wrong? What happens if we don't sell? What happens if we're wasting time? I want you to bring it back to this. Don't post anything you wouldn't want your mother, your grandmother, your boss, your current boss, your next boss to see. Everything we put on social media is public. Okay, if you treat everything I'm doing there as public, would you walk out and say this if you were interviewed on the television about your business or your organization? If not, don't put it on social media. In terms of what to post and when to post, I do recommend that you have a variety of posts, and many of you will have heard my 30-30-30-10 rule before. Without going into a content strategy, all I'm saying here is 30% of the time promote your own business products and services. 30% of the time, think about other organizations, business and terms that you could be seen to be supporting and or promoting that are relevant to your target audience and sit well beside your brand and your brand voice. Okay? Obviously, they've got to be non-competitive. 30% of the time, provide valuable information, educate, again, relevant for your target audience or your persona. And then 10% of the time, it's all talking about inspiration. Now, I know that some of you are racing off to meetings, so by all means, pop your questions in there. We're going to finish up in just a moment. The takeaway for this is what to post and when to post. You've got to think about when your target persona is online and is most likely to take the action you want them to take. And the update here is on the platform or technology that they are most likely to be using. Okay? Get that? When your target persona is most likely to be on the network, take the action you want them to take. So don't give them a sales post when they're in the middle of commuting if you know they need to go onto your website, sign up as a member and use their credit card details. Give it to them when they're in their lunch break or of an evening if they're likely to do that then. Okay? In terms of engaging and getting people to stay online, it's really important that you think more about how to be social than to do social. And I'm going to give you 2 tools to help round this out before we go to questions. One, the first thing, for those of you that have a Facebook page, I want you to do a Like-Alyzer analysis. That's LikeAlyzer.com. Now, it's an American site, so be a little bit careful on timing, because when it gives you the review of your Facebook page, it will be based on GMT time. So make sure you're adding 10 or 8 for most of the Australians. Okay? Simply go in, post the URL for your Facebook page and go through the resources and recommendations. It will tell you where you are right now. If you're on multiple social media, now is the time to get some tools and get smart. And I think to end off our strategy session is really looking about getting strategic about social media. The tool I use as a dashboard that helps me post, manage and track our social media as well as responding on a daily basis is called Hootsuite. H-O-O-T-S-U-I-T-E, Hootsuite. Now there's a link there to get Hootsuite, and for up to 3 social media accounts it's free. But again, as an ambassador for Australian Pacific for Hootsuite, I do provide a lot of free resources if you want some assistance in setting that up. That kind of comes at the end, but I think it's important. If you're going to get strategic about using social media, you need to get strategic about your time, your tools, and your marketing. Let's think about, what are we trying to achieve? Who are we trying to talk to? How are we going to look as a brand, including our brand names? What social media accounts are our persona most likely to be using that will allow us to post messages that are on brand voice and will achieve the objectives we're trying to achieve? Set up a social media strategy and content strategy so that we are posting consistently and persistently when our audience is most likely to be online and take the action we want them to take on the platforms they're most likely to be using, and then establish some tools in terms of how we're tracking our statistics and what matters to us most in going right back to number one and achieving those core objectives. Now, I'm going to go on to some questions. If you're feeling like we've just scratched the tip of the iceberg here, we have a little bit. I wanted to give you some of the updates, but I also want to get you inspired to really take control of your social media. Now, we do lots of what are called BYO learning laptops. So it's bring your own laptop learning. They're workshops, half-day and one-day events where you come in, generally in a group between 5 to 12 other participants, and we really get in and break down your social media. Now, we do lots of things, not just social media, on content strategies, WordPress, updating, search engine optimization, getting found on Google, you name it. All of the details are on thecreativecollective.com.au/events. You can either choose to search by the topic that you want to learn in or the area that you are. So we're right across from Sunshine Coast, right down, actually we go as far as Townsville, right down the coast, and are open to going to Perth. We only go there a few times, but if you're in Perth and listening to this and you want us to come across, let the office know. I can tell you specifically the social media strategy workshops. They're a half-day event. We get in and actually go through the steps we've covered today, design your social media, look at which sites are right for you, how often to post, what to post, when to post, all of those things, and you come out with your strategy design ready to go. Then have a look on the site because we've got them coming up on Sunshine Coast, Brisbane, Gold Coast, and Melbourne, and the Sydney ones later in the year that will be coming up on the site very soon as well. Okay, opening for questions. Please let me know those. I've got a few here in terms of do we have the right to tell people that how to use their social media? As an employer, I think you actually now have a legal responsibility to give them guidelines. There's a great site called, it's called Social Media Governance, NANCE, but just Google social media policy examples. It's called Social Media Governance, and I think it's /policies, but just Google social media policy examples, and there are hundreds social media policy guidelines, rules, right through. A lot of them are Australian agencies, businesses as well. They'll give you a good outline of those. Can you tell me a little more about Google Plus and why I would use it to sell premature baby products? Okay, so in terms of Google Plus, I would really just be establishing your brand without going in depth into your products. Kirsty, I'm imagining they're not designed for teenage techie males, which is the subset of people that use Google Plus actively, but certainly you would want to be found on Google. So I would be using the Google My Business just to really establish your brand, get your Google Plus page up, get your website verified by Google. They'll walk you through doing that. They will physically send you a postcard to do that if you have a shop or a place as well. But then I would be looking very heavily at one of the other visuals, namely Pinterest or Instagram. Probably Pinterest would be a great one for you, on top of using Facebook, which is absolutely a Facebook business page is where the bulk of your marketing should be done. Yeah. I would also think as a third, YouTube could be a great learning tool, because I may need to, privacy issues aside, I may need to see how those products are used. I could get more emotional around visions of actual babies and helping babies, those sorts of things as well. Yep. How do you use LinkedIn groups? LinkedIn groups, and in fact Facebook groups as well, are really just a discussion around a common topic or theme. LinkedIn groups specifically can be used two ways. One, if you're trying to gather a community around your product, services, or expertise, then you can be starting a group. They do take some work, and you've got to think about rules and moderation. The other way I've leveraged LinkedIn groups for our clients is we'll use LinkedIn groups to search for ideal target clients or people in the same industry. If you're joining the group, then it gives you a touch point. So it sort of gives you an in to go to people and say, I notice we're both a member of this group. I'd like to connect and discuss A or B. What I will say, particularly on LinkedIn, any of the social sites, but particularly on LinkedIn, when you're first approaching someone, if you are making a personal connection on LinkedIn, do not ask for marriage on the first date. Okay, so don't just go straight in with, here, I notice we're a member of the same group. I think I can assist you with my social media services. Ask about the other person, show relevance, get to know your target audience, all of those sorts of things. And LinkedIn, my key for LinkedIn is, if you wouldn't do it in an offline real world business networking event, don't do it on LinkedIn. Okay, so it's fine to walk in with your business shirt on and be there representing your business, but you talk as an individual within that business trying to assist with the product or service. We don't want to be the person that just walks around the room spamming out business cards and really turning everybody off. Okay, if you don't currently appear on any page of Google search, what are a few tips for using social sites to help with our SEO ranking? Is it all the Google products? Absolutely, Kirsty. I would be starting with the Google products. Facebook pages work quite well in terms of getting found in search, just because of the amount of times your business or company name, every time you post, it's got your business name beside it, if you set it up correctly. But Google and Facebook hate each other. So if you could maybe use a Hootsuite tool and post exactly what you're posting on your Facebook page each day onto a Google Plus page as well, you'll find you will get greater traction with that in terms of being found in the search engine. Here's my advice. I call this my Google Juice formula. And for anyone that this is starting to get overwhelming, just don't listen to this part. If you're ready to really get found on Google, search engine optimization matters, and you still work with those guys on making sure your website is optimized, okay? But Google is looking for two things now in terms of bringing your site to the top of the search engine. They want video content and third-party validation. They must be on a mobile compatible website. If you really want to get to the top, your website has to be mobile compatible, or at least the pages that you're promoting or you want people to find need to be, okay? So video content, I would recommend you set up one great video on who you are and what you do. Set up a YouTube channel through the Google My Business process, your YouTube channel and your Google Plus or Google My Business page, it is now. Put that one video on your YouTube channel and then copy and paste what's called the embed code. Sits below the video once you've uploaded it. Copy that from Google across onto your website, preferably for me onto the main homepage of your website. Okay? And then when you share that video through Facebook or anywhere else, share the link from your page. So actually share your website page with the video on it. I'm not saying go over and build a YouTube channel and start promoting that video and trying to get views and on the YouTube channel. Come back to the property that you own, because if you want to get your website product services found on Google, then you should be putting that video back on the property you own. And absolutely share a link. So just copy and paste the link of your website where that video is back on your Google Plus page. That makes sense? Okay. It will help. The other thing is to get the backlink. So in other words, take your Google Plus page and put a link to it on your website. Now there's all sorts of widgets to do that. Again, you can Google it because Google actually have pretty good training. So you actually want the ability for people to get to your Google My Business or Google Plus page from your website. So if you're continually linking to your website and then backlinking to Google properties, it will assist you to get found in Google search. Keywords still matter. Making sure you optimize the name of the video for your primary target market and keywords, putting a description in the video, using great keywords on your website all matter, but gone are the spammy days. Okay, if you really want to maximize social media, give Google lots of links to your website, other authority websites, particularly their websites. They will love you for it. Okay. And the second one, third-party validation. Great question, Belinda. Other people saying how good your website is. So rather than just putting a testimonial, typing a testimonial on your website, what Google's looking for is people liking, commenting, sharing. So a really easy way to do this is the Google Plus button that I mentioned before. But you can do it with your Facebook page too. This works quite well. So you take a Facebook like box and you embed that onto your website. So in the resources on your Facebook page, they've changed recently what they look like, so that every time you post on your Facebook page, it actually posts to your website and people can like, comment and share your Facebook links without leaving your website. Even though Google and Facebook hate each other, Facebook is a highly ranked website. It's the second most traffic site in the world behind Google. So it is important that you get links to your social sites. And it's called, and it's a great place to finish probably, it's called the web for a reason. I don't want you to think of your marketing anymore as just a funnel. The funnel kind of starts at your website. Your marketing is this web. So people may swing from a link on your YouTube channel to your Facebook page, which may lead them to your Pinterest. But all the time I want them to be getting closer and closer and closer to the middle, which is the website that you own. It's the link, it's the shop, wherever they give you money, okay? So if you can put your Facebook page on your YouTube channel and your website link, great. On Google Plus, you will link your website and your Facebook page, and you'll just give them this whole ingrained mesh of people. Embedding a post from Facebook. If somebody says something great on your Facebook page, you can, in the top right-hand corner, actually click embed post, and you can copy and paste that into your website. So not only does it show the testimonial, but it actually shows the person who made it. And yes, if they've made that on your page, you are completely authorized to go and put that on your public page. I normally check with people first just out of courtesy, but absolutely most of the people I do that with, if they've been happy to make the testimonial in the first place, they're delighted for you to put it on your website. Okay? At the end of the day, social media is about maximizing your product and service and reaching as many people as possible through the medium that they now most want to use. Remember, right back at the beginning, more than 50% population are accessing social media. Those using social media are accessing it every single day. Alone, we have 14 million people in Australia on Facebook. 9 million of them are logging in daily just on Facebook. If you're not strategically using the communication method, you're missing out in terms of opportunity to market your business. So time to get strategic. Any other resources? As I said, make sure you do pop by facebook.com/social media shortcut, because then you'll get all the updates, and I've got a link there to the census and some extra resources that may assist you. Any questions or assistance with additional training, come over to facebook.com/The Training Collective, and we'll assist you there. Thank you for your time today. I look forward to seeing your results with social media and beyond.